Hi friends! Let's begin this episode with a small game. Here are 4 scenarios and 4 measuring units. We must match each of these scenarios or examples with their corresponding measuring unit. Measuring my puppy's weight, measuring the distance from our home in the city to our village home, weighing cheese at the supermarket, and measuring the length of my bedroom. We can divide these examples into 2 categories. What are they? 2 of these examples are related to measuring weight, the weight of the puppy and the weight of the cheese. The other 2 examples are related to measuring distances, the distance between the 2 houses and the distance from the beginning of my room to its end. We use grams to measure the weights and meters to measure lengths and distances. Of course, to measure heavier objects, we use kilograms, and to measure longer distances, we use kilometers. What is a kilo? What do kilograms and kilometers have in common? And what is the difference between grams and meters? That's what we will explore in this episode. The prefix kilo comes from Greek origin, meaning 1,000. A kilogram holds 1,000 grams, and a kilometer holds 1,000 meters. So 1 kilogram of potatoes would be equal to 1,000 grams, and 3 kilometers are equal to 3,000 meters. If each kilometer holds 1,000 meters, we must multiply by 1,000. If you run 3 kilometers with your dog, you've also run 3,000 meters. Luca's mom asked him to get her 2,000 grams of cheese from the grocery store. But when he got there, he noticed that the grocer sells the cheese in kilograms rather than grams. So he had to convert. How many kilograms would 2,000 grams make? When converting from kilograms to grams or kilometers to meters, we multiply by 1,000. What do we do if we want to convert from grams to kilograms or from meters to kilometers? We do the opposite. We divide by 1,000. 2,000 divided by 1,000 equals to 2 kilograms of cheese. If the distance from the school to the mall is 8,000 meters, how much is this distance in kilometers? Divide by 1,000. So this is a distance of 8 kilometers. Objects have different shape, size, weight, and volume. By using measuring units, we quantify these qualities. Instead of saying that object is heavy or light, that person is short or tall, that place is close or far, we give these qualities specific numbers. So any measuring unit that begins with kilo holds 1,000. 1 kilogram of pasta equals 1,000 grams of pasta. That's measuring weight. Joining 1 kilometer races means you are about to run a 1,000 meter race. That's measuring distance. A fire truck that carries a kiloliter of water holds 1,000 liters of water. That's measuring liquids. The prefix milli also refers to 1,000. A millennium is 1,000 years of time. In fact, the word mille in French means 1,000. However, there is a difference between the prefixes kilo and milli. Kilo refers to 1,000 times a number, while milli is 1,000th, which is 1 part of the 1,000. In other words, while a kilometer is 1,000 times greater than a meter, a millimeter is 1,000 times smaller than a meter. That's why, to measure the length of tiny objects like insects, we use millimeters, and to measure long distances, we use kilometers. So to convert from kilometer to meter, we multiply by 1,000. And from meter to millimeter, we also multiply by 1,000. The dog ran 5 kilometers this morning. How many meters is that? How many millimeters? Let's convert. First, to convert from kilometers to meters, we must multiply by 1,000. 5 times 1,000 equals 5,000 meters. Now, converting from meters to millimeters also requires us to multiply by another 1,000. 5,000 times 1,000. How do we multiply? Ignore all the zeros. 5 times 1 equals 5. Simple. Then add all those zeros. We have 6 zeros in total. So our number is 5 million millimeters. That's why we don't use millimeters to measure long distances. The numbers would be huge. When you say 5 million millimeters, it seems like a super long distance, while in fact it isn't. It's only 5 kilometers. Instead of saying the dog ran 5 million millimeters this morning, it's more convenient to say he ran 5 kilometers. We must choose the measuring unit that matches the size or weight of an object. We simply can't use the same measuring unit to find the height of a skyscraper and the length of an insect. And just as we use millimeters to measure the length of very small objects, milligrams are used to measure the weight of very light objects. A milligram is also 1,000 times smaller than a gram and 1,000,000 times smaller than a kilogram. So we've learned that a kilometer is equal to 1,000 meters and a meter is equal to 1,000 millimeters. What about centimeters? We see the prefix cent or centi in words like century. How many years does a century contain? A millennium contains 1,000 years, and a century contains 100 years. Millimeters is 1,000 times smaller than meter, and centimeters is 100 times smaller than a meter. According to the measuring tape, 1 meter is also 100 centimeters. This is 1 meter. So every meter equals to 100 centimeters. From meters to centimeters, we multiply by 100. And from centimeters to millimeters, we multiply by 10. This means if we divide a centimeter into 10 equal parts, each part is a millimeter. A ruler that measures in centimeters usually divides each centimeter into 10 smaller parts or dashes, indicating the millimeters. And if we divide a meter into 100 parts, each part represents 1 centimeter. How many meters are there in 700 centimeters? We divide by 100. This room is 700 centimeters long, or 7 meters. Let's now have a challenge. A box contains 5 packages of sugar. The total weight of 5 packages is 6 kilograms. How much does each of the packages weigh in grams? If they all weigh 6 kilograms together, then we should divide this amount by 5. But what is 6 divided by 5? If we divide 6 by 5, then we will end up with a fraction. Let's think of another way to solve this question, an easier way. Let's begin by converting 6 kilograms into grams. Multiply by 1,000. 6 kilograms is equal to 6,000 grams. Let's now divide this amount among the 5 packages. We can divide 60 by 5. 60 divided by 5 is 12. Now let's add both zeros. It's 1,200. Each of the 5 packages weighs 1,200 grams. In this episode, we learned about the various measuring units that are frequently used to measure length, distance, and weight. Each unit has a different purpose, but it is possible to convert from one unit to another. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.
لمشاهدة المزيد من الحلقات زوروا سات7 بلس.